Arigato nashitiwa. Okay, now that I got your attention, let's start the review. For the review is called Dragon Ball Super Episode 12, The Universe Crumbles Clash, the God of Destruction versus Super Saiyan God. I said Saiyan, Geekdom would be proud. Anyway, let us begin. No doubt you came here for the thumbnail. None of that will be in this video, but watch this moving picture that I drew as I speak over this episode. We start this episode with the gang in the spaceship flying, trying to catch up to Goku and Beerus. This episode is coming off of a very, very good episode of last week, so it has a lot to, keep up with in terms of quality and entertaining the folks and the fans and all that stuff. Of course, Bulma and the gang, they catch up, but they are doing really poor. And Beerus is like, Goku, would you like to move? And Goku's like, yeah, let's go. I would appreciate that a lot. Thanks for looking out. Then we go on to Vegeta. He's looking up, trying to pretend like he's watching the fight, looking like a badass. We all know he can't see shit. He's not a god. I'm sorry, Rhyme Style. I'm sorry, other people who have said he's a god. He's not a god. That's just asinine. But then Whis tries to help him out, and Vegeta, being Vegeta, is like, screw that, I'm not gonna watch your ball of energy that shows the fight in perfect glory. Now, the thing about this episode is, it's classic Toei Dragon Ball animation. One thing I want to mention is Beerus tries to sneak attack Goku with a karate chop. Goku's like, hey, yo, stop that. That is not what we do anymore. I ain't falling for that junk anymore. Beerus like, dang, you're pretty good. But anyway, yeah, this is classic episode of Dragon Ball. This kind of reminds me back to those Dragon Ball Z episodes where people just scream and they just power up looking at each other for like 5 frames, and then they scream some more, and then they power up some more. That's basically all this episode has throughout the beginning, is just screaming and powering up, screaming and powering up, which is pretty, Dragon Ball. If you want that old Dragon Ball feel, you're gonna get it from that moment, because that's what it is. It's screaming and powering up, screaming and powering up. And this episode it's about one thing. It's about they're showing the power that Beerus has, as well as Goku, in these forms that they are in. They clash multiple times. 2 is what the Elder Kai says is going to be enough to destroy the universe. Maybe 2.5, maybe 3. He's not 100% sure. In his defense, this has never happened before. He's just going off of instinct. But Goku and Beerus hit the first clash, and the universe kind of starts to get wavery, and people start to feel it. Then Goku and Beerus do a second clash. The universe starts to wave again. This time planets are actually destroyed by this and crumble to pieces because of the waves of the universe just kind of rippling. The rippling effect is making people feel strange as Supreme Kabito Kai is talking to Older Kai, and Older Kai is just regretting the fact that he did not wish, or he did not get to see naked ladies in comics and the pictures with all the happy, half-nude chicks talking about threesomes and whatnot. Being an old perverted dude as he is wont to do. This episode goes on with that. Like the beginning of this episode, well, the start of this episode is really all about Goku and Beerus just clashing multiple times. And as you may guess, not the most exciting thing to watch. However, it does set the stage for what they're trying to explain here, where they're trying to say that each time Goku and Beerus clash, their powers overwhelming each other will just end up destroying the universe with every hit, because they're both using the most power they possibly can to try and beat each other or best one another. So they're going blow for blow, but the thing is that every time they go blow for blow, they hit and they clash, they use their power, and that power is what ripples apart the universe. So this, however, is the cause of, the harshness of the powers and all that. Anyway, there's one time, however, where they go for the third clash. This is the one that's supposedly going to end it all. And this is the one that is really interesting. But let's not talk about that right now. Let's talk about Mr. Satan real quick and how he was bullshitting his way through a call, pretending like he's trying to like fix the world and shit. And the news reporter's like, "Oh, we're live with Satan. We're gonna see what's going on with Mr. Satan." And then Satan's like, "I'm infiltrating a birthday party," but he's not really infiltrating a birthday party. Then he pretends that he can't really hear him, and he starts yelling at Gohan, saying, "What the hell? Fix this. Your wife is with a child is, you know, in danger. Don't mess things up." Also, let's do a side note before we continue. Isn't it weird? Also, Hercule has like one of the best phone covers I've seen. Pure gold in his name. Brilliant. Let me get one of those. Somebody make me one. Somebody get me one. Let's do it. Anyway, back to the business. It's kind of weird seeing, you know, Dragon Ball guys with smartphones. It's strange to see that, you know, continuation of technology and advancement going on in a show like this, where I don't even really know if they use phones that often or cell phones ever in Dragon Ball, but around that time I don't think cell phones were really a thing, so I don't know if they would use them. Anyway, after, you know, that happens, the ship starts to crash because it's a piece of junk that's been halfway destroyed at this point from the fight with Goku and Beerus. So it starts to fall down, and Whis happens to save Hercule. Whis is a very busy lad in this episode. He's entertaining Vegeta, he's helping Hercules. He's helping Satan not get killed by a ship. But now we'll go back to Beerus and Goku. Here comes that third blow. But first, let me just mention real quick, they had this little powering up moment where Goku and Beerus, like I said, this is very old school Dragon Ball, a lot of screaming, a lot of powering up, where Beerus just starts to power up and a purple dragon rises from him into the sky. Then Goku starts to power up and a red dragon rises from him into the sky. I watched Geekdom's review. He didn't seem to like this. I personally thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was a cool way to show their boost in power, because after the dragons show up and they kind of roar at one another, it's at this point, it's like their energies in a physical way. This Super has been doing this a lot, trying to make things more physical for you to actually visualize as you see it happening, where the two dragons just kind of roar at each other to show that they're trying to match each other's power, and then they just fly up and do like a few swirls and whatnot, looking all fancy and, you know, all majestic. Then they fly into the two guys and their power spikes, which is what Toei was trying to accomplish with this. Maybe some people won't like it. I thought it was really cool. But they fly up and then they go into the others, and it shows their power just raise, and that's the visual way to show Goku and Beerus' power just starting to overflow with those dragons, and I think that's what that was for. Then we go on to more screaming, and then this is the moment, the last hit that will destroy the universe. Or so it seems. As it turns out, Goku, being Goku, has learned to match Beerus' blows, blow for blow. At this point, you see when they hit, there's a straight line to say that the universe is centered. And Goku, as it turns out, had been clashing with Beerus over and over again the last two times because he was trying to perfect this ability. Now what this does is it doesn't allow either of them to put too much power into it, and it protects Goku pretty much because he's matching Beerus' blows, so they're hitting around the same way basically. And then after that, that's when the fight gets really good again, and they start to actually go at it. You get to see them flying, and you get to see them punching and hitting at each other. You get to see their auras just kind of move around majestically and like swirls to show that they're clashing. And this is where the episode really starts to pick up. This is like near the end. The beginning is all that screaming and, you know, and explaining and stuff like that. This episode is necessary for the fight to explain what they try to do. Then Beerus tries to get all creative and zigzag. It doesn't work. They just fight. They go blow for blow. This is really nice. They just keep going at each other, and every time they clash their fists or their legs or their feet or their palms, they just, every time, a center in the universe. Every time, a center in the universe. Goku has managed to learn the way to match Beerus' blows, and then he gives him a right hook, or maybe it was a left hook, and he cuts Beerus again. This is the second time he cuts him. This is what makes Beerus say, fuck this shit, I am done playing around, and he creates another ball similar to what he was using as a soccer ball in the last episode, and he says, don't look down on the powers of a god, because Goku is starting to get a little too cocky, it would seem. So he's going to show him a thing or two. Then Goku gets ready his Kamehameha. Then Beerus raises that ball of energy, which I'm going to nickname the Milky Way of Destruction, because the way the lights and the way it moves kind of reminds me of the Milky Way in a way, and it's a very powerful move. So we'll call that, for all intents and purposes, the Milky Way of Destruction for now. And he gets ready, he starts to spin around as Goku readies his Kamehameha, and as he shoots that, Beerus shoots his, and they're like, bring it on, mothers! And then they clash. This is the beam struggle portion of classic Dragon Ball, as the universe again starts to ripple, and this time everybody starts to feel it. Way more than before. I can only imagine what your body feels like when your whole body is rippling in between time and space. It must not feel good. Even the Supreme Kibito Kai and the Elder Kai start to feel it, to the point where Elder Kai, this part, best part of the episode, this part, and probably why you came, because of that thumbnail that I made it. This part is hilarious because Elder Kai is like, oh, this is it. This is the end. I gotta give you something. And he offers him something. He offers Supreme Kibito Kai. And you see it pan up to like a half-naked lady. And it turns out he's giving him a porno magazine. And before he's like, I gotta offer this to you, Supreme Kibito Kai just shoves it in his crotch and just like... Elder Kai just starts to scream in pain and agony. It was hilarious. He's just like, here you go. And then it's like, no, God. It's like, oh! It was funny. Oh, man, that was hilarious. But then we move on to continue the clash with Goku and Beerus. And it looks like Beerus is winning. It even looks like Goku's about to give up, because he says that he had given a good fight, but he just couldn't do it. Then Beerus is like, you did well. I guess that sparked something else in Goku, because suddenly his Kamehameha starts to shoot forward again, making sure that the blast is not coming straight at him, even though it looked like it was. And then the episode ends with a big flash of light. What happens next? We don't know, but people reacted. Vegeta even looked, for the first time this whole time, he hasn't really made expressions other than that grin. Even he kind of grimaces at the fact that this is happening, but then he sees that Goku's fighting back, and like the explosion is just, they leave you on that cliffhanger, like who survived that explosion? We already know that neither of them die, but the fact of the matter is they leave you off with that. And like that second half of this episode, I gotta say, was just the best half, because that's where the action really started to pick back up. But as I said before, this episode was classic Toei Dragon Ball from the past. It reminded me of that. And we leave off with that big flash of light, where we will go into the previews next, where it seems like the clash continues and the Earth starts to feel the effects of the universe crumbling, because everything around them seems to be going crazy. Water seems to be flying throughout the sky, trees are falling, rocks are crumbling, everybody's freaking out. This could be the end, and the clash continues to go on. So next time on Dragon Ball Super, Goku goes surpass Super Saiyan God. Be sure to watch it, yo, is what, you know, Goku says at the end. He always says something like that. And that was the end of the episode. It was really interesting. It wasn't as good as last week's, but it was necessary. It was necessary for what needed to be done. And I liked it. I thought it was a good episode. And that's it. I will throw this out real quick. One thing I noticed in this, I'll go into this later on in another review, but I'll just touch upon this now. Maybe I'll do a whole video, it'll be my non-review video about it. But it seems Goku's attitude this time around is a lot different than it was in Battle of the Gods, because in Battle of the Gods, Goku was actually disappointed in himself that he couldn't reach this level of power on his own, Whereas in Dragon Ball Super, we've seen multiple times Goku is more than excited to have this power no matter how he got it. And in the movie, Beerus seemed to be bothered by the fact that he was, you know, complaining about that, the fact that he didn't get to get it on his own. And this one is just, that seems to not be an issue. I just thought that was interesting and something I find quite amusing that they changed. Anyway, that is the end of this review. We kept a little shorter this time. I almost could upload it on my original page if I didn't go over 15 minutes. Alright, you guys. See you next week. The next episode's going to be great. Resurrection of F is coming soon. I have a feeling we're going to have a huge tonal shift. I feel like Champa's going to show up next episode, not just because Geekdom said so. I just feel like at the end, when Beerus and Goku are finished with their fight, Champa will reveal himself. Whether or not it's because the universe is starting to crumble and his is maybe starting to get affected, or maybe he's just has a nefarious plot. If you've seen that nice little poster, it seems like Beerus and not Beerus. It seems like Champa and Frieza were side by side. I find that interesting. I was kind of on the fence. I thought he might be a good kind of antagonist but not really evil guy, and I'm starting to second guess that if he's next to Frieza, if that poster is any indication. Anyway, I'll see you guys next review. I hope you enjoy this new channel, and peace out, people. And I don't have a thing to say goodbye, so I just say whatever the fuck I want. Peace.